photograph that I took of David Austin Rose, I believe, that is kind of climbing up near the fence in the yard. And I'm going to approach it with a direct painting style. I think there's a number of ways we could do it, but because of the pale colors in both the flower and in the fence, I think it would just be faster to directly paint. So I've done an initial drawing, and I'm going to start by just lightening the drawing with the cotton ball and alcohol. The colors are so pale that any of these lines are just going to show through. Now that I've removed most of the ink, I realized I forgot to talk about the lines. I drew out the flower lines and some of the fencing and a couple of the leaves, but not many of the leaves. I think that I can just paint them in freehand and it won't really matter where they go. I've got some pink sherbet here in the palette, and I'm going to start just putting in a layer of color for this pink rose here. Looking at the staining, and we can see it's pretty purple. We've got a rose back here as well. This is a pink marker, and it's off to a slightly different shade of pink, but I like variety in my pieces anyway. And this should be even lighter, and I think that'll work for the majority of it. This is kind of a mid-green marker, and I think it might just be quite quick to just sketch in where these different leaves are. This is kind of a yellow-green, and I want to use it to just put in a layer of marker and color in the areas that we see peeking through the lattice. This is pale lavender. I like Coolberry, but I think that this will do. I'm trying to show some of the shadow areas or the edges of the white lattice. This is Meadow, and I'll start by just dabbing in some of the back areas. And I'm going to use it for a layer of green in the leaves. And this is the bottle green. And this is eggplant. We're going to have to just keep working our way darker. The good news is they're all kind of sitting out here in the palette, so eventually I think they will thicken up enough that I can really get some darker values. I'm just going to pop some of this eggplant in some of these spaces in the lattice. And now that the bottle and the meadow are a little thicker, I'm going to go back and use them as well. the Cool Perry, and I need to add some color to this back lattice. And this looks like it's got a little green on my brush still, which is fine because that was really one of the alternative colors I was thinking of. This part's kind of all in a little bit of a shadow. It's been a long time and I haven't lifted, but it's time now. This is alcohol and cotton swab, and I'm going to just blend in all of the lattice work that I just did. I'm just dragging some color from the leaves over. The most important thing is that we want it to read as white, but it really is totally not white. Do some lifting through the leaves. If you favor the more inky look, feel free to skip that. I'm going to do some lifting in the rose. And we're just going to kind of blend these edges together, blend these petals. Just do a little more softening of these petals before I work on the values of them. But in case I decide to leave them, I want them to have a pretty petal shape. So I think this is actually rose petal back here. I'm gonna grab some of this pink sherbet and kind of dab it in. Now we have a petal. For our darker values, this kind of thickened pink sherbet is not a bad choice. So we have, this is one of our darker spots on the rose. I'm going to continue kind of using this like a dry brush, well not dry brush, but this thickened ink to just darken more of the background. When you have a very light subject, sometimes it's just easier to make it show up better by darkening what's around it. We've got some, there are probably weeds sticking up through here. What I want to do is watch the picture frame. I've lately had a lot of trouble with ending up not painting enough of what I needed. So this is kind of eggplant-ish. Oops, that completely didn't work. Can you fix that? Alright, so that kind of went badly wrong, but I'll just sketch in some leaves for this part. So I'd like to splatter this thing with alcohol, but I want to just blend in this all these dark values that I should put in here. So I'm just going to blend them in, and then we'll splatter it. So at this point, I think I'm ready to splatter. This is the 1-inch chip brush. Okay, now that we've loosened it up a bit, I want to start working on the flower. And this is kind of a pale pink marker. We'll see if I can lift some of the lighter petals through here. So this is the shell pink. And a little blending of it. I'm going to take a break from the rose and go back to the leaves. And I'm going to kind of tighten around the rose. Also going to add a few more leaves in this area. We lost a lot with our splattering. And just a little tightening through here too. Not much. I'm going to add the stem in here. And this is a yellow-green marker. This is a dark gray. And instead of using alcohol to blend it in, I'm actually just going to blend it in with this dark green marker. And I'm going to just do a little splattering, just to kind of blend that back in. All right, so we're getting there, but we still are failing at the center of our flower. So I'm going to try a darker marker. This is the dark pink. This is the pink sherbet, the dried pink sherbet still. So for this next round of blending, I'm going to go with this water alcohol method. And this is a mixture, it could be like 50-50 maybe. We'll see if it's enough to, yeah, it's enough to blend. So I'll try to softly blend in some of these areas. This is the regular alcohol, and I'm going to use it for some of the whiter highlights. So I'm still struggling for the interior of this flower, and I'm going to try just drawing in these edges with the white pen. And often it'll pick up that pink, and maybe we'll get a more defined edge that's looks subtly pink, but better than I'm getting as I'm painting with the brush. Got a yellow marker. I'm going to use it to just add a little bit of color in the piece, just kind of sporadically. I've got a little bit of peach Bellini here, and I'm just going to add it into the flower. I just feel like it's very cold. And a little bit of lifting. I'm going to take a moment and just lighten this yellow that I put in. I'm really not sure it's quite the right color. So I've taken a picture of it, and I'm going to do some more drastic splattering. I feel like we've got a really great start and it's really coming, but it's not finishing where I want it to be. So I'm going to be a little more bold. And this is some wild plum. I'm going to splatter this on with the toothbrush, and I think it'll give me an added bonus, and then I can probably use it in the flower if I need to. I'm also going to use some of the Pinata Brass. So now that I've got the wild plum in play, I'm going to use it for some of these darker spots, if I can. This is blending with this is that water alcohol combination, so a little bit of a softer blend. And I'll do some lifting in the leaves. I'll use the sepia pen for a minute and just kind of go around some of the leaves. And a little bit of highlighting in the stems. I'm going to straighten out this piece of wood here. Try just a little more shading under here. This is eggplant. A little softening with alcohol. I'm just going to do a little more softening on that purple. This is the warning not to do one last thing, because that one last softening just took out much of this flower. So this is a pink marker. We're going to try to put it back here. Okay, we're going to lift again and hopefully not do what I just did. I'm going to repair a little bit of the white that I kind of took off. All right, now we're done.